Kunja Bihari Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Balabha Girivara Dhari Gopi Jana Balabha Girivara Gopi Jana Balabha Girivara Dhari Gopi Jana Balabha Girivara Jasoda Nandana Braja Janadhanjana Jasoda Nandana Braja Janadhanjana Jamanatira Vanachadi Jamanatira Vanachadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Balabha Girivara Dhari Gopi Jana Balabha Girivara Gopi Jana Balabha Girivara Dhari Girivara Dhari Jasoda Nandana Braja Janadhanjana Jasoda Nandana Braja Janadhanjana Jamanatira Vanachadi Jamanatira Vanachadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parividakacharya Astatara Satasi Srimad Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Gaur Premanandi. We live with our computers, but it's very valuable. In this computer, there's, I don't know, thousands and thousands and thousands of pages of transcendental literature in different files. So we're going to be this evening just continuing with the discussion on one of the celebrated pastimes of Kṛṣṇa in Vrindavan, the pastime of Krishna opening his mouth and showing Mother Jasoda the entire universe within his mouth, or actually within his abdomen, along with Mother Jasoda looking inside Krishna's mouth, And Nanda was there too.
So, did Krishna show his form 2 times? Like, because we know.
Yes, yes. Well, several times.
Several times. Okay.
Several times. Mahabharata was partial.
Yeah.
On Kṛṣṇa battlefield was complete. That was universal form. And Mother Jasoda, earlier, because we're reading from chapter 8, but earlier, when breastfeeding Krishna, she opened his mouth to breastfeed Krishna, and she saw not the universal form, but she saw the entire universe within Krishna. So here again, she's seeing the entire universe. And we'll hear this evening what she saw. I mean, a topic that I've been contemplating recently is the universal form topic, because it's quite mystical, not easy to understand, and just a little sharing before we begin. You're familiar with the Temple of Vedic Planetarium? Temple of, it's an interesting name for a temple, isn't it? Temple of Vedic Planetarium. In Mayapur, which is in West Bengal, there's a temple being built that has 3 parts. One of the parts is the main altar with the disciplic succession, Radha Madhava and the Ashtasakis, and Lord Chaitanya. Actually, Lord Chaitanya, then Radha Madhava. Another part over there is a temple for Lord Nrsimhadev, because he used to be worshipped in a separate place. Then over here is the planetarium. And the planetarium is a 3-dimensional, it's like huge dome, and suspended from the ceiling is the structure of the universe as described in the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. A planetarium that moves, going from, the 14 planetary systems, not exactly to scale, but depicting the 7 lower Bhuvar and Svargaloka, Baharloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, Brahmaloka, and then in between there's Dhruva, the pole star, and so Bhuvar and Svargaloka planets, they move in a clockwise direction, moving around, circumambulating around the pole star. And then there's the upper planetary system. So it's going to, that part of the exhibit is going to move, suspended from the ceiling. And there's going to, there are, in the dome, there's balconies that you can look out and see where you are. And then there's going to be interactive exhibits that say what's out there is going to be explained in the exhibit. Then you walk around and go to the next level, and then it goes from the coverings of the universe. There's 7 coverings of the universe, shells, so to speak. And then beyond that is the abode of Mahesh Dham, the abode of Lord Shiva, Hari Dham, and Goloka Dham. And all that's going to be in this dome. So the assignment was given maybe 30 years ago, and it's taken some time to sort through it because it's not easily understood. But in the 5th canto Srimad Bhagavatam, in the very beginning, Shukadeva Goswami says, he's asked to explain the structure of the universe, more or less, And he says, I'm going to explain the Virat Rup, because the structure of the universe is the Virat Rup. And then at the end he said, now I've explained the Virat Rup in principle, not all the details. It would take a lifetime of Brahma with as many mouths as Ananta Shesh, and you still couldn't describe all the details. So it's the structure of the universe, and that's the universal form. And so those scientists, I mean, there's multiple types of scientists that have been involved in this project. In a little presentation on the Virat Rup, there's 3 known descriptions of Virat Rup, and we're going to hear one of them. And that's something that's seen, like you just asked. So that's one category. And there's 4 that are very quickly referred to. Some have seen, Kṛṣṇa has shown, has given the eyes to see, and persons have seen. Then another is a description. It's through sound. A description of the universal form. And there's several of those. The 5th canto is one of the most detailed ones. But it's in Vishnu Purana and Mahabharata and other places in the Vedas through sound. Description of the universal form. And there's some others that are literally, not just figuratively, imaginary. Some descriptions that are just totally fiction and imaginary. And that's a category of some descriptions of the universal form. So this is what we're going to be reading from is Canto 10, Chapter 8, and a little context, those that like Krishna's pastimes. When there's Kṛṣṇa Janmastami. You're familiar with Kṛṣṇa Janmastami. Krishna's appearance day, right?
Yeah.
Yes. She's
Oh, yeah. His birthday.
Krishna's birthday. Krishna's birthday. Okay, so then after Krishna's birthday, there's a big festival. It's called Nandotsav. The day after Krishna's appearance, there's a big festival. And then some short period of time after that, Putana, she's a demoness. She has mystic powers, so she came disguising herself as... Is everything okay? Good.
What are you talking about?
Oh, okay. Kṛṣṇa Janmastami, Nandotsava. Kṛṣṇa killed, the first demon that Kṛṣṇa killed was a female who dressed herself like a nice lady offering to give nursing the newborn child. Her intention was to kill him. She had smeared her breast with poison, and that was her plan. Kṛṣṇa would take the poison and die. That was her plan. So there's some details. So rather than get lost in details, Putana. Then a short while later was a cart demon named Shakatasura. Shakata is a cart. So he had some subtle form, and he was planning to kill Kṛṣṇa. Sent by Kamsa. Kamsa. Okay. Kamsa was, Vasudeva and Devaki, the mother-father? Vasudeva and Devaki. Devaki's brother, stepbrother, his name was Kamsa.
It was Krishna's mama.
He was very...
Yeah. Kṛṣṇa was born in a prison house. And the prison house was Kamsa's prison house. Because it was prophesied that the 8th child of Devaki would kill Kamsa. So Kamsa was going to kill Devaki. And her husband, this is on their marriage day, her brother-in-law, stepbrother, was going to kill her. Just grabbed her hair and got a sword and tried to chop her head off. She's not prophesied to kill you. It's the children. I'll give you every one of the children when they're born. So the eighth child of Devaki was Kṛṣṇa. Kṛṣṇa appeared in the prison house of Kamsa, and they offered prayers, and Mother Devaki said, could you assume a little childlike form, because if Kamsa finds out that you've appeared, he'll try to come and kill you, but maybe for a little baby we can hide you. Very reasonable, right? So Kṛṣṇa said, yes, but I want you to take me on the other side of the river Jamuna to the home of Nanda and Yashoda. So Kṛṣṇa was considered the foster child of Nanda, the father, and Yashoda, the mother. So we're going to hear about her in this, because she's the one that looked inside Krishna's mouth. So his appearance, and Putana, Shakatasura. Then Nanda went to the capital because he was in charge of cows and agriculture, the king of the cowherd men, the whole community. So he was going to pay his taxes to the king. And while there, it was within the 45-day prescribed period, the namakarana, the name-giving ceremony, was done. And a very celebrated astrologer of the royal family named Garga Rishi or Garga Muni, he did the name-giving ceremony, and he understood that Kṛṣṇa is the personality of Godhead. But he didn't want to disturb the mood of love of his father, Nanda. So he spoke in kind of enigmatic words, puzzling words. He will have powers like Narayana. He didn't say he was Narayana. And he will protect everyone. So you should protect him, and he'll do wonderful things. And he gave him his name, Kṛṣṇa. And he gave Balaram's name. So that was the name-giving ceremony. Then Nanda went back to the other side of the river Jamuna, and they had a festival so it wouldn't be noticed by Kamsa. And then, so his little baby, and now this is chapter 8 of Canto 10, and he does his little baby pastimes. Maybe you know a little bit about Ramayana, Ram's pastimes, a little bit. So there's Bala Kanda is a section of his childhood activities, but it doesn't give any description of what he did as a small child with his three brothers, Lakshman, Bharat, and Shatrughna. It's like, they're little 4 boys. They must have had a lot of fun. And naughty and doing things that boys will do, right? So there's no description, almost none. But there's a lot of description of what Kṛṣṇa and Balaram did. Details and details. So we've been hearing, starting to crawl. He's the personality of Godhead, but he's performing pastimes to reciprocate with the nature of parental affection, because there are his devotees that love him as mothers and fathers love their little children. But he's the personality of Godhead, so that motherhood, fatherhood comes from the spiritual world. So he's playing like a small boy, like a baby, and learning to crawl. And as he's learning to crawl, then he crawls out into the pasture ground, and there's some calves resting, and he grabs their tail, and they're startled, and they stand, and they start running, and he holds on, and they go for a ride. And then the elder gopis, Mother Jasoda's age, they see, and some are laughing, and some are clapping, and some are, oh, he might get hurt, and all the different, parental affection emotions. And then there's this description of his learning to talk. That's really cute. And then toddle, and Mother Jasoda has him, holds his hand and walks a couple of steps, then he falls, and he looks at her and starts to cry, and she picks him up and holds her to her chest and pats him, and then they try again, and he goes a couple of steps, and he sees her and comes running back, and all those things that children do with their parents that are so lovely. And this is Kṛṣṇa playing the role of a little child, little baby. And then he's precocious. He learns to walk very quickly, he and Balaram. And then they start walking around Braja, and then the cowherd men, they see darling Kṛṣṇa, and they feel more affection for Kṛṣṇa and Balaram than they do for their own sons. And they're startled, but it's a natural kind of love attraction, parent to child. And then he starts doing mischief. Little boys sometimes are mischievous. And Kṛṣṇa is the best of the mischievous ones. And so we've been reading about what he does, and when they do some things, when he and Balaram would go here and there, and like this lengthy description of not only stealing butter, but all kinds of things things like if there was somebody nearby, they would go to the cowshed and release the calves before the milking time, which means then the calves would go to take the milk from the mothers. There'd be no milk left. So they had to stop their duties, and during that turmoil, they'd go inside the house and steal yogurt and butter. And if there wasn't any yogurt and butter, then he'd go into the back room and pinch the babies, and they would cry, and then he'd run away. And it was like, find different ways, and so they came to Mother Yasoda and said what they said, your son is doing these things, as if complaining, but it was filled with prema. And so it's back and forth and back and forth. So that was just give it to him. Well, we give it to him, but he won't take it. He just likes to steal. And the details of how he finds ways to steal that we never thought anybody. He's too intelligent. And so put him up. We put it up on rafters, but then he gets a long stick with some point and pokes a hole. How does he know what's inside? He just seems to know what's inside. Then he climbs up and stands on the shoulders of a boy. All those wonderful paintings of the pastimes. And Bilva Mangala Thakur, a very celebrated resident of Vrindavan, blind, but sang and wrote songs about Kṛṣṇa's pastimes, and Kṛṣṇa would sit and listen. So it's like those kinds of descriptions, those pastimes. And at the end, they say, and here he is, right here, and Kṛṣṇa's looking trembling, like, I hope my mother doesn't scold me. And they look at him, and he looks at them, and they just smile. And Mother Yasoda says, why do you do these things to these people? And she hugs him. And so there's a little commentary from our acharyas that say that Kṛṣṇa liked when Mother Yasoda would rebuke him, like try to tie him, the Damodar Lila, tying Kṛṣṇa with a rope around his waist, Damodar. Damo Udara means tying him around the waist with some rope. So she didn't. So then he figured out another way to get her to scold him. So that's where we are. There's a pastime a little bit later. They're still little boys, but apparently Kṛṣṇa wanted Mother Yasoda to scold him. And so, knowing that Mother Yasoda knew that Kṛṣṇa was mischievous, she asked the other boys to watch out for him, particularly Balaram, because he was a little more sober and Kṛṣṇa was a little more restless. So Kṛṣṇa ate some dirt. And Mother Yasoda came and they said, Kṛṣṇa ate some dirt. And Kṛṣṇa said, they're liars. I didn't eat dirt. If you want to verify, you can look inside my mouth to see if I ate dirt. Yes, open your mouth. So Kṛṣṇa opened his mouth, and she saw something she didn't expect to see. She saw the whole universe inside Krishna's mouth, or inside his belly, along with everything and everything and everything. So that's what we're going to be hearing. He's showing his Aishwarya, his opulence, at the same time covering Mother Jasoda with his Yogamaya potency because of her strong motherly affection. She can't believe that what she's seeing. She can't. That means he's God. She can't see him as God. It's her son. She can't see like that. So that's where we are.
Do you need something to keep?
Huh? I'm good. It's called the laptop, right? No, but it's a laptop. It's on my lap. Don't worry, I'm fine. I have to get my glasses though. I refuse to get bifocals. This is reading glasses. Too much trouble. Huh?
I feel like it's harder.
You have bifocals?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like this. I have a separate set of glasses. They tried me out. Nah. Okay, so here we go. Canto 10, Chapter 8, text number 32. One day, while Krishna was playing with his small playmates, including Balaram and other sons of the Gopas, the cowherds, all his friends came together and lodged a complaint to Mother Yashoda. Mother, they submitted, Krishna has eaten earth. And the purport. Here's another of Krishna's transcendental activities invented to please the gopis. First, a complaint was lodged with Mother Yashoda about Krishna's stealing. That was the previous section. But Mother Yashoda did not chastise him. Now, in an attempt to awaken Mother Yashoda's anger so that she would chastise Krishna, another complaint was invented, that Krishna had eaten earth. So I'm going to read commentaries by our acharyas. This is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. A taste of maternal affection, Vatsalya Rasa, by the gopis, this is the elder gopis, finding fault in Krishna has been completed. That's this other one. Now, a different taste, Vismaya Rasa, is presented by his friends in the form of criticism. That's a rasa. There's no material taint. So they have love for Krishna as friends. So they're presenting a criticism as one friend may do to another friend. Krishna was not scolded for stealing yogurt, but he was scolded for eating dirt. Both were incited by love. Now, here's Jiva Goswami's commentary. A little. Should I explain who these personalities are? Jiva Goswami, Sanatana Goswami. Okay, you know who is Krishna? Yeah, okay, good. Krishna appeared in the previous yuga, in Dwapara Yuga. And he, at the end of his time on earth, he presented Bhagavad Gita. And shortly after Krishna departed, the next yuga began. The little juncture, Sandhi, between the two. And then this present yuga, Kali Yuga, began. So Krishna was considering, my teaching in Bhagavad Gita concludes with, did they know the verse? Sarvadharmam? Meaning? abandon all varieties of dharma and take shelter of me, surrender unto me. By so doing, there's no sin. This I assure you, do not worry. You familiar? No. Kind of? Okay, okay. Here's the Sanskrit. You don't have to worry about it. Sarva dharmam parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishami masuchaha. So that's his teaching is take shelter of me. All other dharmas are subordinate to that one. All of the dharmas are pursuant of that one. And that one is mam ekam sharanam. Mam ekam, me alone. Sharanam, surrender. Take shelter of me. And everything's good. Everything's covered. If you have $1 million, you have $100, $10, no problem. That's an easy way to understand what he's saying. It's the $1 million solution. Just take shelter of Kṛṣṇa. But Kṛṣṇa then considered this next yoga, people aren't going to understand how to do that. And so, how to do that? They have to see by example how to do that. So I could send somebody to teach them by example, but the best is if I could come myself and teach them how to do that. How to surrender to Kṛṣṇa. So Kṛṣṇa came as a devotee of Kṛṣṇa to teach how to surrender to Kṛṣṇa. And these in our line of disciplic succession, we accept Lord Chaitanya as Kṛṣṇa himself teaching how to surrender to Kṛṣṇa. That's who Lord Chaitanya is. Kṛṣṇa teaching in the complexion of Radha, golden complexion is Radha, and the bhava, the mood of love of Radha towards Kṛṣṇa. Kṛṣṇa himself teaching how to love Kṛṣṇa as Radha loves Kṛṣṇa. So he had some associates or students, disciples, followers, and amongst them there are 6 very prominent ones that resided in Vrindavan. Vrindavan is where Krishna's childhood pastimes occurred. So 2 of them were going to read their commentaries, Jiva and Sanatana Goswami. That's who they are. And to them, they're just to you, they're just names, but they're very celebrated persons that profoundly understood the topic of the tattva, the truths about Kṛṣṇa. So here's one. Remembering a previous past time, similar, when Kṛṣṇa yawned and Mother Yashoda saw the universe in his mouth, that happened earlier, just like your father was remembering. That was one of the ways in which Kṛṣṇa showed his universe. And the universe is inside his mouth. She was, wow. I better go lie down. I'm seeing things. Call a doctor. So the speaker is Shukadev. Shukadev says, the elder friends, such as Balaram, that's Krishna's friends. Balaram is a little older. Spoke to Yashoda. There's a phrase in the verse that says that these friends of Krishna, the Gopas, they were requested by Mother Yashoda to protect Krishna because he does mischievous things. Just make sure he's safe. They carried out the orders like wooden puppets. And the Sanskrit word is daruka, which means a puppet. And they informed her that Krishna had eaten dirt. He took some soft earth from the ground and ate it, though the boys had tried to stop him. Not able to tolerate his eating dirt, intentionally, so that he would not do this again, they informed Yashoda politely. This is how the pastime starts to unfold. Sanatana Goswami, another one of these Goswamis of Vrindavan, followers of Lord Chaitanya, wanting the bliss of being scolded by his devotee in the sequence of infant pastimes, the eating dirt pastime is related. The friends and well-wishers of Krishna, such as Balaram, spoke to Yashoda. They had natural affection for Krishna. He pretended to eat dirt. Balaram and others thought he actually ate dirt, or even secretly he may have eaten dirt. But if he did not have the symptoms of eating it, he would not be scolded. And now there's related commentary from the 8th canto Srimad Bhagavatam. Now the 8th canto Srimad Bhagavatam has to do with a battle between the demigods and the demons. So the verse reads, "O king of the demons, after Lord Vishnu made this decision with fearful mind, disappearing and taking a subtle form, he entered the body of his enemy who was pursuing him through his nostril when his enemy breathed." Doesn't give the context. Vishnu disappeared and took a very subtle form. False statements by the Lord can also be true, as in the case where Krishna is saying, "I didn't eat dirt." Lying, fear, greed, lust, and anger are not desirable qualities in the living entity, but became great qualities in the Lord for nourishing rasa and the Lord's affection for the devotees, just like his stealing. Stealing is bad. Anyone in any culture of the world knows stealing is bad. But when Krishna is taking butter, well, in one sense, he's not stealing because he's the proprietor of everything. What is there that exists that doesn't come from him? But he's doing what he's doing ingeniously to try to stir emotions, loving emotions. That's why he does what he does. So it's so much celebrated. There's a name for Krishna, Makhanchor. He steals butter. You know that one? You know that one, Makhanchor. Or when he runs from the battlefield, Ranchor. Ranchor. You know, a Kshatriya is not supposed to run from the battle. He stands and fights. But when Krishna ran from the battlefield, it happened twice. He ran from Jarasandha and Kalyavana, and there's a nice name. He's celebrated. Yay! So, the point of the Acharyas is even those who are perfected souls, the Atmaramas, they're not attracted to anything material. They're attracted by these wonderful pastimes of Krishna because they're fully transcendental. Here's some detail. This is now a little technical. It's about the divisions of emotion in parental affection. There's a science of rasa, and one of the divisions is anubhav. Anubhav means transformations of the body. When you're feeling an ecstasy, a spiritual ecstasy, there's certain transformations. Standing of hairs on the end, and trembling, and tears from the eyes, and things like that. Those are symptoms of. So the parental affection in Braja, they have special anubhavas. They scold him in order to correct his behavior. Then it points to this pastime. One day, when Balaram and other elder cowherd boys were playing with Krishna, they informed Yashoda politely that Krishna had eaten some dirt. Mother Yashoda, who was always full of anxiety over Krishna's welfare, caught him in her hands because he might run away out of fear, and then spoke to him. On seeing his eyes agitated with fear, "Dear Krishna, why are you so restless that you have eaten dirt in a solitary place? This complaint has been lodged against you by all your playmates, including your elder brother Balaram. How is this? There's other details. Upon hearing this from Krishna's playmates, Mother Yashoda, who was always full of anxiety over Krishna's welfare, picked Krishna up with her hands to look into his mouth and chastise him. Her eyes fearful, she spoke to her son as follows. Dear Krishna, saying, why are you so restless that you have eaten dirt in a solitary place? The next verse is text 33, chapter 8. Upon hearing this from Krishna's playmates, Mother Yashoda, this is the same, who was always full of anxiety over Krishna's welfare, picked Krishna up with her hands and looked into his mouth. Yashoda held Krishna by the hand for fear that he would run away. She scolded him, but her intention was for his benefit. In this case, scolding are nourishers of prema, not faults. This is the usual habit of the mother towards her son, and it is not unjust. His eyes were filled with fear. This fear in the Lord is an ornament appearing through prema, not a fault. In Queen Kunti's prayers, Queen Kunti, the mother of the Pandavas, Yudhishthir, Bhima, Arjuna, Nukul, and Sahadev, the five Pandavas. But Kunti was the mother. And Kunti offers prayers to Krishna, saying, I don't understand the love of Mother Jasoda. I'm like mother to you. And you come and touch my feet, as a son will touch the feet of his mother out of respect. But I see you as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that disturbs me. But I accept it because that's what makes you happy, but it disturbs me. But Mother Jasoda, I don't understand her love at all. Because you, who are feared by fear personified, when you see that little lati, that little stick, in the hand of Mother Jasoda, you cry. You who are feared by fear personified, fear that little stick in the hand of Mother Yasoda. Krishna has the capacity with one, punch. He finishes Kamsa, who's the scourge of the world. He's a terrorist, He's gone. But, Mother Yasoda shows you a stick and you cry. And the mascara around your eyes is dripping down your cheeks and your body is trembling. Your pearl necklace shook. Just seeing that little stick, I can't understand it. But it's not he's play acting. Because he was play acting, that's easy to understand. Okay. She thinks she's a big deal and I'm a little guy, so I'll cry, and that makes it easy to understand. But he's afraid. That this is the science of rasa. He's the supreme, but he's enjoying in different moods of love. He enjoys the parental affection. He wants Mother Jasoda. He wants that experience. What child wants to be scolded? But he wants that experience of she's superior and I'm subordinate, and she's going to correct me. So he staged a pastime so that she would correct him. And in that very amazing pastime, he showed the whole universe within his abdomen. And but it says specifically to invoke astonishment. There's a little bit of detail. There's, according to our spiritual teachings, there's different relationships with Krishna, as there are different relationships with people here. That exists because it's in the spiritual world. And there's primary relationships and secondary relationships. On veneration towards God. Servant, going in escalating or hierarchy. It's not just, but serve him. And then friendship, like Arjuna. In relationship with Krishna, he is his friend. Bhaktosi me sakha cheti. He's his sakha, his friend. And then parental affection, that's Mother Yasoda, and Queen Kunti, and Vasudeva and Devaki, and the parents, the elders, parental affection towards him. And conjugal love, his queens and Dwaraka and so on. So, that's secondary rasas inspire the primary rasas. So one of them is astonishment. And Krishna does it from time to time. He does something that's like, he lifts Govardhan Hill, they go, wow, who's this? Who's this boy? Astonishment. There's a whole chapter, Wonderful Krishna. Who is he? And they cite his opulences. And who is he? So, that's one of the purposes in this pastime. He wanted that she take the superior role of scolding him, and he wanted to take the position of showing her his opulence. Jiva Goswami says Yashoda was anxious for his benefit. She wanted to benefit him by scolding him and punishing him. This indicates the most astonishing nature of such prema. Only she was qualified to do this, since he was her son. Krishna's eyes were glancing around with fear for doing a great wrong, which had caused fear and suffering to her. Seeing his fear, she spoke to him, but did not harm him. And then Sanatana Goswami writes, she caught his hand to dispel his fear. Another says, so he wouldn't run away. She was qualified to scold him because it was for his benefit out of great affection for him. To avoid fear that he would be harmed for giving his mother fear and sorrow, not able to tolerate his fearful glances, she just spoke to him. Now it goes on. We're not going to... You can read this section. Do you have a Bhagavatam here? So, Canto 10, Chapter 8, you can read what she saw. It's details of what she saw. I'll say just a little bit. What she saw was all kinds of things. She saw mountains, oceans, trees. She saw all the planetary systems. She saw the elements. And she saw, what it says here, she saw subtle things that you can't see. She saw the air, earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. Who's seen a mind? Or who's seen an intelligence? Or who's seen space? But what's said is she saw the presiding deities of each of those, and she made the connection. She was able to see, like Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita is given the eyes by Krishna to see the universal form. She was given the power to see. Because normally, our senses are not able to perceive such things. Our sensory power is determined by the presiding deities of each of the senses, according to the Vedic picture. And those of us in the human form of life, we have a certain intelligence and certain consciousness and certain sensory power. But devas and yogis, they have higher consciousness and higher sensory power, so they can see things that we're not able to see. They can do things that we're not able to do because they have higher sensory power and higher consciousness. So she was given the power to see all these things. Although normally one can't see air, or one can't see a mind. One cannot see false ego. I mean, we know we have one. We know that there is a mind, but you don't see a mind. But so anyway, that's what our acharyas are describing. She saw the whole shebang. Everything that goes into a universe she saw. And and at the same time, seeing it inside, the same thing that was outside. At the same time. That's like that's impossible. It's contradictory. It's materially three-dimensional space. It just can't happen. His body is only so big, and the universe is bigger than his body, and he saw everything inside his body. So it's a power that Kṛṣṇa has to display these things, and a power that can be invested in this case, Yashoda, to see things that otherwise one cannot see. Because the Vedas state within the absolute truth is everything. Or say it the other way, everything comes from the absolute truth. The absolute truth is, this is Vedanta, the absolute truth is that from which everything comes. So everything has to be in Kṛṣṇa. Or whatever the absolute truth is, everything has to be within that absolute truth. And if that absolute truth is a person, then everything is within. So it's kind of mind-bending. It's not fiction. Our great acharyas are not interested in fiction stories. Ichabod Crane and Harry Potter and fiction stories. They're not interested in fiction stories.
Why Kṛṣṇa is given such a importance among all the other avatars?
Srimad Bhagavatam supplies the answer, and I spoke about it last Sunday for the Sunday program, but I'll just summarize. There's an important verse. You have a Bhagavatam set, so you can look 1.3.38. In chapter 1 of Canto 1, there are 6 questions that the sages ask Sutta. One of them is, please describe the forms of the Lord as they appear in this world. So he does that. He begins describing the Purusha avatars, the Vishnu forms, and then the avatars of Vishnu, the Leela avatars, and the Shaktivesh avatars, and the Manvantar avatars, and the different avatars. And then after listing them, the speaker Sutta says, of all these avatars, one is the source of them all. Ete chanksa kala pungsang Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. So the Swayam Bhagavan, Kṛṣṇa, is the origin of all avatars. Now, it's an important detail. Kṛṣṇa is listed in that list of avatars of Vishnu. But he has his position in the spiritual world. It's just like, it's a very simple way. Before we came in the house, we existed. We came through that door. And then now we're in the house. So Kṛṣṇa exists before he appears as an avatar of Vishnu. He exists in Goloka. And of all the different avatar means one who descends, of those who descend, the doorway The entryway is Avatar Vishnu. But they have their existence before. And so, of all those different avatars, Krishna is the source of them all. And there's details and details and details and details and details with cross-referencing from what other scriptures say and the Sanskrit of that verse and the meaning, the emphasis upon Krishna is because Vedanta is searching for that which is the source of everything, including all the avatars, and that which is the source of everything is indicated in the Bhagavatam as Swayam Bhagavan Krishna.
So Vedas describe all this in much more detail.
Yes.
Than Puranas, or is even Puranas have
Both.
similar details?
It's in both. They're parts of the four Vedas and the philosophical portion of the Vedas, the Upanishads, that give this understanding, but more in a concise manner. And there are certain portions of the Upanishads that are more specific. Some are more general. The emphasis in some of them seems to be in this spiritual dimension, using the term Brahman or just saying Saha as a pronoun. That. But Sunday at 5:30, I'm going to be speaking on another verse that connects with your question. You can look it up later. You can write it on your phone there. 1:12. And the verse goes like this. I'll say it in English. The learned Vedantists have understood that the absolute truth is non-dual, and it has the following divisions: Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan, some portions of the Vedas seem to emphasize Brahman. Some seem to emphasize Paramatma. Some seem to emphasize Bhagavan. They're all of the same Advaya or non-dual substance, nature, Advaya Tattva, non-dual nature. And there's different features of the same thing. Just like, an example is given. Just like we're sitting in your living room, and the sun hasn't set yet, so you can see the sunlight, although I can't see the sun. I know it's still daylight because I can see the sunlight. So there's the sunlight, and then there's the sun planet from which the sunlight comes. So there's different features. There's the pervasive sunlight, and there's the place from which it comes, the localized feature of the sun. And then there's the sun god, Surya, or Vivaswan. So there's these different features: Brahman, the all-pervasive, the localized within the heart, Paramatma, and the personal feature. And the other two rest upon the one. Therefore, the Bhagavan feature, Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, the Bhagavan feature is taken as the highest truth. But the other Paramatma is, I am situated in the heart, Sarva Shachaham Radi Sani Vishto. Krishna says, I'm situated in the heart of every living being. That Paramatma feature is none different than Krishna. And the Brahman feature is the rays of, we've been discussing this in these chapters, that the effulgence of the spiritual world is from the form of the Supreme Person. Brahma Jyoti is the light emanating from the Supreme Person. Brahma Jyoti. So the emphasis is upon the Bhagavan feature, and within the Bhagavan forms, original source is Krishna. 1, 3, 20, 28 or 38? 28. 1, 3, 28. You can send these things to him, and he can look them over. We had some little study materials for the class.
I had a question.
Yeah.
Why can we not eat eggs?
Why can we not eat eggs? This is for online people. So why can we not eat eggs? That's okay. Well, there's the huh?
Turn off the mic.
Okay, okay. We offer things to Krishna that we take foods that are first offered to Krishna. That's from Bhagavad Gita. He says, if you eat foods first offered to me, you're sanctifying your existence. If you don't eat the foods that are first offered to me, then you're implicating yourself in karma. So we want to offer things to Krishna. We offer things to Krishna that Krishna asks for. This is not in the category of something that Krishna asks for. Now, I heard a mother answer your question this way. What is an egg of a chicken? It's the discharge of the female chicken that hasn't been, fertile, yeah. So would you, if there's discharge of a female human, would you eat that? And so, it's a discharge of a chicken, so we don't eat that. It's not. You can analyze and say, well, it has protein and.
Didn't you say the same thing about milk?
No, because milk, the protected cows and not protected cows are different. But let's say protected cows, ahimsa milk. You familiar with that term, ahimsa? Nonviolence. Cows that are protected and not slaughtered, but just the milk that comes from a cow, it's a natural reciprocation for human society. That is to say, a cow produces more milk than the calf of the cow can drink. So if you don't milk the cow will become sick. It's nature's arrangement for human society protects cows, and cows give to human society something that's very valuable for human society. The nourishment and the vitamins, etc., that come from milk is for human society, and human society is to protect the cows. So it's not taking the discharge of, a woman's menstrual cycle, the cow's menstrual cycle. It's the lactation of the cow. It's different. And so, and it's meant for human consumption. It's one of the items that Krishna accepts. In fact, he goes and steals it. Okay.
He's been having that question for quite some time.
That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah. He doesn't eat. He doesn't eat eggs, but he's just
Inquisitive mind is good.
Yeah.
Inquisitive mind is good. So, any thoughts on practically anything under the sun, at what we discussed, or anything at all?
Can you ask question? Turn on the mic. Oh, okay. Speak. Oh, everybody can hear. Oh, online. Oh, it's on. Okay, sure. Man.
Oh, yeah.
Manav, can turn on the mic and ask.
There's people online that are going to hear your question and my answer.
So I was wondering, why is why is Hinduism based on India or centralized around India?
That's a nice question. Well, Vedic culture, according to the history of the Vedas, once spanned the whole world. You're aware of that, right? You're not aware of that?
No.
Okay. I could give examples. I'll give two examples. One is cosmology. I just happen to know this because of this Vedic planetarium topic. But a devotee, a PhD scientist devotee, in preparing a model for this planetarium, he studied cosmologies of the world. And he found, I've seen in his book, there's illustrations, in short, the cosmology picture in the world, Siberia, South America, Africa, Southeast Asia, Europe, the American Indians, you name it, they have very similar, not identical, but very similar cosmology pictures. So scholars, going back in time, who have discovered this, say there's three possibilities. One, it's just an accident. That's not so likely. Two, the DNA of the human being is wired to have cosmology that looks like that. Not so likely. And the third is, at one time, there was a culture that spanned the world, and that culture had similar cosmology. And they didn't like that one. But it's more likely than the other two. So that's just, good guesswork based upon some empiric evidence of pictures of cosmology. In fact, the Vedas teach there was one culture all over the world. There's many other evidences. I won't bore you with the evidences. There's lots of other evidences. Another one was some years ago I visited Peru, maybe 12 years ago. And when I was there, I met this elderly couple, and they were working on their 7th PhD, all in the field of linguistics. And their conclusion, they're Spanish people, they're not Indian people. Their conclusion was that Sanskrit is the original language, because all the other languages that they studied are derived from Sanskrit. So languages of the world have their root, Sanskrit. So it doesn't prove anything. It's evidence that indicates something. It's not a proof. But so Vedic culture was at one time all over the world. And why, over a period of time has a way of changing things. And now that Vedic culture, vestiges of the Vedic culture are primarily based in India. And the Sanskrit language still has its vitality in India, at least amongst the Brahmins. The Sanskrit language has its vitality. So a better word than Hindu is Vedic. The Vedic teachings, Sanskrit from the Vedas, has its base in India. And then that influence went around the world.
And then it came back to India?
Well, it went from India out, and then other places became more disconnected from that original culture.
Why did they disconnect?
Time.
But if it was true, then why do they disconnect, right?
Why what?
Why would they have a different reason to disconnect from that original?
Well, why do people have trouble with each other? Somebody's got a different idea.
Right.
And they go that way with that different idea, and they go that way with that different idea. And in the age of Kali, there is deterioration of good quality. So there's deterioration. It looks like in different parts of the world, without going into detail. How?
Right.
Yeah, that's a factor for sure. But certainly in Kali Yuga, during Kṛṣṇa's time, which was the previous Yuga, there was one king that ruled the world. During Kṛṣṇa's time, there was one king that ruled the world. And the capital was Hastinapur, which is today's New Delhi. So there were sub-kings, but they were subservient to the emperor that ruled the world. So he didn't get in a jet and go all over the place. He just, so how it worked, I don't know how it worked. But there was protection and acceptance of authority of the emperor. Now, then Kali Yuga came and things became more troublesome and quarrelsome and hypocrisy and deterioration of good character and, people quarreling over anything. So that's what the age of Kali means, the age of quarrel and hypocrisy. So people do all kinds of things in this age. You find something new every day. So that's the reason. It's deterioration of good quality and dissension amongst mankind. So people go this way and people go that way. And
that makes sense. Thank you. Another question I had is, does Hinduism say anything about evolution, if it's true or not? Because other religions, they say nothing, or they say that evolution is not true because of Adam and Eve.
Well, that's Christian.
That's Christian.
But that's not the only religion in the world besides. Okay, so if you don't mind my editing, I'm just going to use the word Vedic instead of Hindu.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the Vedic culture, there is an idea of evolution, but not chemical evolution.
What's the difference?
Chemical evolution says once upon a time there wasn't life, and you know that what the model is, and then some lightning bolts came out of the sky, and there was some primordial little entities. The amino acids got together and combined to make. So chemical evolution. Then some other guys got together and it formed life.
Mm-hmm.
That's chemical evolution. Life comes from chemicals. That's chemical evolution.
Mm-hmm.
So the Vedas don't describe the chemical evolution, but the consciousness evolves through lower species to the next species to the next species.
Mm-hmm.
The position of a living entity in different species is consciousness related. And supposing someone is in a spirit soul is due to their past activities are in the body of whatever life form, let's say a tree. So they're stuck in that tree body for some period of time, paying off their karma for their free will choices. And then when that stockpile of karma is diminished through that lifetime, then consciousness evolves to the next stage, 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 the next stage. There's evolution of consciousness to a species up to the human form of life. And now with the human form of life, there's higher consciousness, which means more freedom, which means more responsibility. And when there's responsibility, that's where the karma factor kicks in. Because the lower life form, they don't accrue karma.
Right.
They're burning off karma. But the human form of life, we can choose this or that because we have more advanced consciousness or more elevated, more freed, but we're not there yet. So we can choose to go higher or not. And if you choose not, then you implicate yourself in karma. And then depending upon it's good karma or bad karma, you go to a different destination.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's a bad karma destination, you go down. And then again, the evolution of the soul through different stages and forms of life, depending upon which species of life you deserve by your karma. Your free will choices then determine your next destination.
So does that mean the higher level of consciousness from the human beings is the moksha?
No. Well, I'm not sure what you're asking. If we choose, once we have the human form of life, if we choose urdvam gachanti sattvasta, in the language of Bhagavad Gita, if you choose the mode of goodness, you go up. Madhye tishtanti rajasa, you stay in the middle region. Adho gachanti tamasa, you go down, if it's tamas, or ignorance. So, up can have different destinations. It can be Svarga or heaven. And beyond the modes of nature is moksha. But then there's different categories of moksha. That's interesting. There's 5 different kinds of moksha, according to the Vedas. Most people, when they think of moksha, it's one of the 5, merging, with becoming one with Brahman, become one with the Supreme, Sayuja Mukti. There's 4 other kinds.
Which I'm not familiar with.
Okay, but it's important because there's variety out there, even in the higher realms. So what to speak of down here? There's variety based upon free will choices. So to achieve moksha, it's not like, hey, that sounds like a good idea. Let me out of here.
So when we talk about higher levels of consciousness,
Yeah.
Other than Swarga, are there other levels?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So those are the planetary, like the systems you were talking about.
Yes,
those
yes.
stages.
So here we go. Quickly. Most religions today, just like your son seems to be a little bit familiar with Christianity. So most religions today have this picture of heaven and hell, and we're somewhere in between heaven and hell, in this earthly realm. You go up and you go to heaven. You go down, you go to hell. But the Vedic picture, this is not Hindu, but it's the Vedic picture, is there's 14 planetary systems. Below the 14 planetary systems is hell. Catch this one. Below the 14 planetary systems is hell, and there's too many of them, and they're all packed up. And then there's 7 lower planetary systems, and then there's 7 upper. And the 7 upper are Bhu, Bhuvar, and Svargaloka. You've heard Gayatri? Om, Bhur, Bhuvar, Swar. Okay, so those are the 3. But there's 4 more above that. Bhu, that's earth. Bhu, Loka. Bhuvar, Loka. Svarga, that's heaven. So most religions say, go to that place. Go over the heaven region. The 5th canto teaches there's 4 more above that. Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, and the topmost is Brahmaloka. And then there's beyond that. What's beyond that? That's the coverings of the universe. And then the universes are floating in the causal ocean, and the other side of the causal ocean is the Brahmajyoti. That's what the moksha people want. They want to go to that, beyond the whole deal here, to the light. And then within that light, there's Vaikuntha planets. So there's a mood of service to Bhagavan in Vaikuntha. His name is Narayana, and he resides in Vaikuntha. And so those that wish to be another kind of liberation, they want to be in a relationship of love and service to Narayana. That's where they go. That's beyond the Brahmajyoti. And then there's above that, the topmost region is Ayodhya.
It's called Ayodhya.
Ayodhya is in this upper region. Ayodhya, where Ram resides in Ayodhya. And then beyond Ayodhya is Goloka. That's described in the scriptures. What I'm saying is not like, hey, that's a nice idea. That's what the scriptures say. And so, back to your question, one of the earlier ones, why this emphasis on Kṛṣṇa? Because that's the topmost realm, because the original source of everything resides there. And there's varieties of love there. There's varieties of love in Dwaraka, there's varieties of love in Mathura, there's varieties of love in Vrindavan. And they're not the same. The type of love, the type of love that you have with your family here at home is not the same as when you have some friends at your work. The intimacy is different. You're the same person, but the relationships are different because of the intimacy of love. But so like that, the personality God has different moods of love depending upon those relationships that he have, how persons regard him. And even amongst your friends, there are probably some that are more intimate and some that are more, cordial and like that. So there's variety. In the spiritual realm, there's variety.
So when you're reaching a higher consciousness than a human being, in the next life you won't be a human being. You are at a different consciousness.
Well, the human has to do with the body. We're not the body. That's
Right.
like, Bhagavad Gita 101.
Right.
We're not the body.
Sure.
We're the soul.
Mhm.
So when you leave this body, you're going to get another one, whatever it is. It can be in the heavenly realm. It can be another human body. It can be another species of life
Right.
body.
Mhm.
It can be in the spiritual world.
Right.
And then you don't get a material body. It's just you have a spiritual form.
Got it.
The soul manifests a spiritual form. No covering. No more bodies.
Right.
No more birth and death.
Right.
Because bodies are born and bodies die. No more material bodies. Spiritual form.
Got it. Thank you.
Pretty interesting, huh? You got another one? Okay.
Is it late? Is it
We're okay. We're okay. We're here to be with you.
So before when I was I think I was looking up Hinduism or Vedic scriptures.
Okay.
I saw that people thought that Brahma is God. No one said that Krishna is God.
Okay. Brahma is the chief engineer.
Mhm.
Like Sunivanto here.
It's like,
He's the architect.
it's more than an architect. He takes the blueprint and he builds the universe. But where does he get the ingredients to build the universe? Where does he get the intelligence? Where does he get the creative power? Where does he get the understanding of what he's supposed to do? Where does he get the understanding of who he is? He gets that from the source. And he puts it together. So the Sanskrit terms are, what Vishnu does is Sarga, and what Brahma does is Visarga. It's called the secondary creation.
Mhm.
So Brahma's he's the secondary creator. And you mark it, set, go. And then, so he gets the ingredients, he gets the blueprint, he gets the creative potency, he gets self-realization, he's got everything ready to go. Like when you finish your studies and you get your degree and you're off, you're going to do something.
Mhm.
But you're packed up with stuff that you got from other people, so you can do something. That's Brahma. He got knowledge from Kṛṣṇa.
So why do people think he's God instead of Krishna? Then?
I don't know. What Kṛṣṇa says in Bhagavad Gita is their intelligence is meager. They don't know the full picture. And then it can be said even a little more bluntly. There's a source of everything, but if I can go, to the guy that gives me, something of everything, I'll just go to the guy. I don't need to go to the source of everything. And I'll give him some money. It's like the word is sometimes used. It's like bribery. I'll pay you off. But where does it come from? It comes from the source of everything. Whatever that is, that's the source of everything. That's where it comes from. So go there. And that's what Kṛṣṇa says. People that don't go there, they want something limited and temporary.
Mhm.
It's right in Bhagavad Gita. They want something limited. They go to where they get something limited and temporary. And then they need something else. They go to another limited and temporary. They have all kinds of suppliers of limited and temporary. That's called Hinduism. There's different devas. You want money? You go over here. You want health? You go over there. You want success in your undertakings? You go there. You want long life? You go there. You want this? You go there.
Right.
All necessities taken care of. There's some sacrifice to take care of all the necessities of life. Without recognizing where do those who supply those necessities get those necessities from? The source of everything. So it's, they don't have the big picture. But that's okay. It's not like shame on them or something like that. That's how their necessities are provided. It's Vedic.
Right.
It's right in the Vedas. It's a vast portion of the Vedas is what we just talked about. It's called karma kanda. You want something? There's mantras and procedures for sacrifice, and you go to a Brahmin that knows them. You tell him what you want. That's called sankalpa, and then he knows which deva, which mantras, and off you go. You get what you want. But you don't necessarily realize where's the source of everything, and you haven't said thank you yet to the source of everything. Your sister has got something.
Does God know our every choice before we already make the choice?
Well, what do you think? Because if he knew everything before we made our choice, then would we really have choice?
So is there destiny?
But
basically?
so
Yeah.
then,
I'm anticipating that next question by your question.
Yeah.
So you have free will.
yeah,
That means free will means he doesn't predetermine your choice.
right.
Now, that wasn't your question. Your question was, does he know before you make the choice what you're going to choose? That was your question.
Yeah,
Yeah. He's omniscient, past, present, and future. Past, present, future. So now, if somebody knows, Kṛṣṇa knows. When Kṛṣṇa knows what you're going to choose, like, at what time you're going to go up the stairs to go take rest tonight, does he know what that's going to be? He knows. That doesn't take away your free will choice.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
That makes
He's
sense.
omniscient, past, present, future.
Thank you.
Okay?
So, how would the spiritual journey, I mean,
You have two vibrant children here. They must be a handful for you.
Sure. Yeah.
You're laughing. They're lovely kids.
Yeah,
Go
thank
ahead.
you. No, I'm just if you can share some thoughts on transitioning to a spiritual journey.
Transitioning to a spiritual journey. Sure. First of all, a few things. It's the human mission. Nature rarely awards the human species. So when we receive the human form of life, it's a gift. Now, some people, when they win the lottery, they spoil their life because they don't know how to handle, so many millions of dollars. They ruin their lives. Studies have shown their life gets wrecked. But we have more than $1 million. We have the most valuable thing. And it's meant for the spiritual journey. That's what it's by design. For the Creator made it for that purpose. So when we recognize that's what I'm here for. I mean, there's lots of other things that I have to do in my life, but that's like the main trajectory of my life is, and build the other things around that one. So when you accept, that's what this human apparatus is for: mind, intelligence, even ego, and gross body, and the whole thing, and family and kids and life and job and home and everything. The main purpose of my life is the spiritual journey. So, and I'm down here. So I need some teachings, and I need a teacher that can help me with those teachings. And then that becomes like a puzzle. Like there's so many teachings and so many teachers. So how do I sort through all of that? One of the essential criteria in Bhagavad Gita is disciplic succession. It really narrows the field down a whole bunch. because Krishna says, chapter 4, Bhagavad Gita, that when disciplic succession is broken, knowledge is lost. Now, there was knowledge when Krishna was present, but that which can carry you to the spiritual journey is lost. So, disciplic succession, that's essential, not optional. So to get teachings and teacher, disciplic succession is imperative. And then, so that narrows the field. Now, what are some of the steps that I can take, or that you can take on that spiritual journey? Well, you look at it starts with practice, sadhana, or the language of Bhagavad Gita is abhyasa, practice. So what are some practices that I can do? For some people it's become vegetarian, because I don't want to eat things that I can't offer to Krishna. I want to eat foods in the mode of goodness because that will promote good consciousness, etc. So you become familiar with Bhagavad Gita and do things, that whatever is a doable step for you, under the guidance of teachings and a teacher. And then you do that for a while. You see what the effect is. You feel whatever you feel. You feel more healthy, or you feel more peaceful, or you feel whatever you feel. And then the next thing. So become a little familiar with teachings, just like you have a Bhagavatam set in your home, I understand. So little by little, you start to become familiar with what's in there. And if you have some questions, you raise the questions with someone that can guide you with those teachings. And then those things that resonate, you see, well, let me see how I can apply this in my life. Not in an obsessive way, but in a practical, step-by-step little way. And you feel something. It's called realization. Wow, it made sense, and I applied it, and I'm getting some realization from applying it. So then you just little by little, it's evolving of consciousness towards that higher consciousness. That's the human mission. That's the spiritual journey. And there's a really nice verse which you can make note in your handheld device there, your little phone. Canto 10, Chapter 14, text number 3, I think it is. Swanes Tatak. Is that it? 10, 14, 3. This is beginning your journey. Stay in your position. Sthanes Tatak. Stay in your position. Let go of the prayasa, the endeavor, to understand things by your speculative power. Jnane prayasam udapasya namanta eva. And just hear. It means you can read and try to understand. It's sound. By the sound vibration, the journey moves. You hear. And then the things that the little light goes on says, wow, that makes sense to me. Let me apply. How can I apply this? Consciousness will evolve. So you have to give anything up. You just take that which is your nature, your psychophysical nature. Stay in your position. Let go of the tendency to understand things by speculation, and just hear. And the things that you hear, you make sense. You apply it. And it becomes inspiring. We've been spending a lot of time reading 10th canto topics, and they're like really high. Like, but it's inspiring to see how loving is Krishna. When you get there, it's yummy. He's so loving. He's so loving. I want to be there. So that's like, I'm way down here, and he's way up there. But, let me do my things in that journey because, when I get there, I won't want to come back here. It's not like I want to hit the plunger and the stick of dynamite and blow up this stuff because it's too crazy. It's not an escapism thing. It's a loving thing. And that's part of the spiritual journey. But start where you are. And, guidance of some people that can hold your hand and help you like you did with your kids when they were learning to walk or learning to talk or learning to go through the changes of their life and stuff. You're there, your mom. At a certain stage in teenage life, they're like, okay, back off, Mom. But, that's okay. So you back off. But, the loving relation is still there. Doesn't change. So, some persons that can help you with that spiritual journey. And you do like that, and it'll be inspiring for the others in the house. The others that you have this intimate, close family relationship with. And you share those things, as much as they want to.
Yeah, I had another question. So when was the age of Kṛṣṇa? Was it dated to a certain time?
Yes. Yeah. Okay, now here's something that your father was saying. There's the Vedic picture of time is it moves in cycles, cyclical, like summer, fall, winter, spring, or day and night, or, et cetera, et cetera. There's small circles, medium circles, really, really big ones. The creation of the universe and the withdrawal of the universe, the resting period, then again creation of the universe. That's a really big one.
Right.
But so there's time moves in cycles. So there's in every day of Brahma, there's 1,000 cycles of 4 yugas, and then there's a night. So that's the engineer person, not God, the one that builds the universe. He lasts for the duration of the universe. When the universe is over, he's gone. The universe is gone, and he's gone. His abode is gone. The whole thing's gone. So each day of Brahma, there's 1,000 yuga cycles, and each of those yuga cycles lasts for 4,320,000 years. That's one cycle. The present cycle that we're in, now we're getting back to your question, is Kali Yuga. That's the shortest one, 432,000 years, solar years of Earth time. And Kṛṣṇa appeared at the end of the previous Yuga. It's really simple math. You add 432,000 to 432,000, you get the duration of the Yuga when Kṛṣṇa lived.
164,000.
Yeah, 640,000. Well,
860.
800, yes, excuse me. Yes. So then the prior Yuga, you add another, the same duration as Kali Yuga. So that's 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 makes 10. So the duration of one Yuga cycle is 432,000 times 10.
4 million.
Yeah.
All right.
And then there's 1,000 of those, makes a day of Brahma. Then he has his night. So Kṛṣṇa appeared at the end of the previous Yuga, which was approximately 5,000 years ago. So every year that passes, we still say 5,000 years ago. So it's more than 5,000 years, but 5,000 years ago. That's when Kṛṣṇa departed, and shortly after Kali Yuga began, and we're 5,000 into the Kali Yuga. And it's not getting better.
But we still have 432 minus 5,000.
Yeah, 427,000 more to go. The last canto of the Bhagavatam describes what's it going to be like at the end of Kali Yuga. Like she wanted to know, what does Kṛṣṇa know what I'm going to do tomorrow? So Kṛṣṇa knows what the whole place is going to be like at the end of Kali Yuga. And it's very, very degraded, very scary. don't stick around. Okay, go ahead. You got the mic. But speak into the mic a little bit.
Wait, no, it's okay. Okay. If Krishna knows that the end, what the end of Kali Yuga is, and how come, like, if it's bad, then how can he, like, not stop it, or does he not want to because he wants us to, like, learn our lesson?
He's allowing us to make our free will choices, like mom and dad. I mean, you know, you're in the house and you're under their care and so forth, but you're making free will choices. And, you know, they don't interfere. They may set some boundaries and stuff, but, you know, Krishna lets living entities make their free will choices, and then they have to take responsibility for them. And it goes down. No, but the good news is, at the end of Kali Yuga, it goes right back up to the top. How it happens, ascribed in the Bhagavatam, that Lord Kalki comes and he just liberates everybody. Slate's clean. They're all liberated now. And then from the higher dimensional realms, Vyasadeva and his associates, they descend and they start the next top yuga called Satya Yuga. And then that goes for its duration, and then the next one, then the next one, then the next. So it kind of cycles down. He could, you know, somebody might argue, well, if he knows it's going to be so bad, why doesn't he just like put his foot down and say, you know, stop it, guys. Game's over. You know, mom and dad don't do that. Krishna doesn't do that. We're responsible for our free will choices, and if we make bad ones, then, you know, it goes down. Make good choices. You know, like your mom. You know, the spiritual journey. That's the right choice. That doesn't mean you stop doing stuff, but you do stuff in relation to that spiritual journey. Okay.
The goal is to go to the higher level of consciousness.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So you remember? This has been fun. Now we have some online questions or no? We forgot the other people, but
this question is from Giri Otikota. Does Lord Krishna's name exist in hell or other level of creations?
gosh. Well, Krishna, everything is within Krishna, and Krishna is within everything. So there isn't something that exists that's not within Krishna, and Krishna is not within it. Next.
Okay. This is from Prakash Narayan. After daily listening to your wonderful Srimad Bhagavatam classes, before going to bed in Singapore, when I chant first thing in the morning, I find myself thinking about the Krishna Leela you spoke of the night before. Is this an offense to the holy name in any way?
No, it's natural. Keep going. Now, when you go there, make sure your attention continues with the name, or bring it back to the name if it starts going all over the place.
This question is from Padmaja Mataji. Thank you for extending yourself. Okay. My question is, how important is deity worship at home for aspiring devotees? I ask because my husband and I are both working full-time. With my 50 plus hours of work per week, I find it challenging to balance my current services, chanting, hearing, parenting, cooking, cleaning, and while the COVID situation is certainly making this more feasible right now, what if I am not able to get there to house deities at home and perform services?
She's a medical doctor with a busy schedule and a child. I'll assume that you, from the nature of the question, that you already have deities. And you should learn from people who are very proficient in deity worship. What are the minimum standards for a person that has a busy life like you? But minimally, the foods that you eat must first be offered. So that's one. Your cooking goes to the deity. When you have deities in your home, that's a rule, that you don't eat that which is not first offered to your deity. And so how you regulate your cooking and your thising and thatting, the offering can be something very simple as far as whatever you do in addition to the food that you prepare and offer. But offering of some water and some incense and a very simple arti can be done. But rather than going into details, I suggest you discuss with somebody that you know that's proficient in deity worship. What's the minimum standard for you? Because I know that your life is really, really, really busy. And cleanliness is very important. Don't skimp on cleanliness. Even you're busy. Make sure particularly the area where the worship is going on is clean. And try to keep that offering that you do something that in reasonably regulated time intervals. Those are, cleanliness and regularity are most important items in deity worship.
I just want to, when you say offering to God, like in India we give off to, like here, what do you mean by offering to God?
Okay, I'll repeat the question. She wants to know, when I speak of offering to God, what do I mean by that? Well,
because they learn from Gita class and they come and they tell me that you need to offer to God, but I
don't know how.
what to do.
Well, she can show you how, but the principle is somewhere in your house is a place that's sanctified and clean. And when you cook, you have a plate that's just for making offerings. We'll call it Kṛṣṇa's plate. And you put some of this and some of that and some of the little small amounts of each of the things that you prepared on Kṛṣṇa's plate, a little bowl or whatever, and like a spoon and a cup for the water or whatever it is that you have. And you go to that clean and sanctified place. You place that before Kṛṣṇa, and there's some prayers you can say. She'll teach you the prayers. And you allow Kṛṣṇa to accept, and then you take the plate away. You transfer what was in Kṛṣṇa's plate and put it in, and then you distribute to your family.
So you eat that.
Yeah. And then it's prasad, it's mercy. Kṛṣṇa has accepted, and therefore it becomes mercy. And you're distributing to your family mercy. Kṛṣṇa's mercy in the form of food that's been sanctified, or blessed by Kṛṣṇa, or accepted by Kṛṣṇa because of, not just by the ritual that you've done, but more importantly is the love and devotion with which you offer. So there's a simple procedure, but the essence is not the procedure. The essence is the love and devotion and offering things. Because He's sustaining us, let me offer it to Him. And then I can accept His mercy.
Just like we do it in India, pretty much. Like in our homes. That is another thing. So we offer it to cow as well in India.
Okay.
Yeah, which is
The
taking a portion of what you would give it to your family, you also are giving it to cow.
Okay, that's not exactly the same. But I get the idea. A portion, everything goes to Kṛṣṇa, and a portion of that goes to the cow.
Right.
One last question. Gyanjit Kanunga. Okay. If the soul is out of the body, then body is dead. Is it the soul which creates all the desires and entangle us into the material world? So by the spiritual life journey, we are purifying our soul.
Well, maybe 75% yes. By nature, we're part and parcel of the Supreme. Mame Vangsha Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. We're the tiny angsa of the Supreme. And so, in the Supreme, there's desires, so we also have desires of the soul. However, back to the free will question, when we direct our free will away from Kṛṣṇa, because that's a choice we can make, when we direct our free will away from Kṛṣṇa, then desires become colored in the mind. A polluted mind, a distorted mind, a not pure mind. And so it looks like desires in the mind, although it's of the soul. But the initial misuse of free will is away from Kṛṣṇa desire. And then it becomes, according to the modes of nature, all kinds of other desires. The root of which is away from Kṛṣṇa desire. I want to enjoy separately from Kṛṣṇa desire. Then it's within the mind. So the purified state is there's alignment. I have my body now. So with my body I have a nature. I'm an artist, or I'm a doctor, or I'm a dancer, or I'm an architect, or I'm a engineer, or whatever it is. And I have my nature, I have I have my psychophysical nature. So, but there's the soul that's animating the whole machine. And so, recognizing my psychophysical nature, let me dedicate that to the Supreme. That's karma yoga. I do the work that I do, the things that I do in life, directed towards the Supreme. And then, by that principle of detached work or dedicating things to the Supreme, slowly the bhakti principle can be awakened, specifically by the process of hearing. The bhakti principle awakens. Starting with the chanting of Krishna's name, it awakens the bhakti principle. So, it's a gradual purification process, and when that gradual purification process, that's the part that you're in the question that I say yes to. It's the middle part that was a little fuzzy. Okay? We're done. Technology's interesting.
Good, right?
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You got something. I can tell. No. As soon as we walk out, something will come up. Okay, great. Thank you.
Kids are so much, the Gita class is helping them so much. They really, like before when I told them, oh, you have to go to Gita class, they thought,
No.
but they, not even a one day, I mean, he does a fantastic job. And they really look forward every Sunday to, go there. And she has been like, chanting the mala.
Really?
For how many? I think for 3 years, 4 years. Not even if she has exams, whatever, she will not go without doing.
Good girl.
Yeah. Thank you. They just look forward, and he teaches every time they come home. They'll be sharing a story, and it does a fantastic job. They're learning so much from him.
I don't think you're twisting his arm. I think he likes doing this. It's a gift that Krishna has given to him. He's using it in Krishna's service. That makes him happy. Krishna becomes happy, and your children are becoming happy, and That's the spiritual path, spiritual trajectory, higher consciousness trajectory, little by little, little by little. Then, it starts changing inside, and then it starts to change outside because it's changing inside. And then there's things that just, I'm not going to do because it's inside. I can't do something that's different than what's inside. That's character. It's inside. Not just behavior, it's character, consciousness. Great. So off we go.
Thank you so much for coming.
Yes,
Yeah.
Thank you.
I brought some Mahaprasad